Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to build your online business. So let's get right into it. So first things first is I know this sounds crazy because you guys might think that this has nothing to do with online, but this is very, very important, and that's creating your story. Creating your story is a big part of being online. People have to know who you are. They have to know, what you're about, how who are you, right? So I want you guys to take out a pen and paper because we're gonna write down some things. First thing you need to think about when you're creating your story is you need to think about who are you. So for instance, when I start off my story, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, um, I'm a seven-figure network marketer. Those are all things I want you to write down. Like, who are you? Maybe you're a nurse. Maybe you're a mom. Maybe you have some special things about you. Maybe you're an Olympian, a gold medal winner or something. Write down who are you. I want to know who are you. Maybe I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. To me, that's a big part of who I am because that tells you a little bit about maybe the struggle that I've had to go through. I grew up in a single parent home. That's a part of my story. I tell it all the time. Um, I grew up. Sometimes I share that I've had a dad who was on drugs growing up. These are all parts of my story. I've told plenty of times how my story, my son, I didn't have money to pay for him when he wanted a movie. We were in line at the market, but that's a part of who I am. That's the part of how I identify as my past self. So who are you? I want you to write down those things. Who are you? I just gave you some of the examples of who I am. So I want you to write down some of your examples. The next thing is, what do you do? What do you do? This is important, guys, because when you start telling your story and someone asks you, what do you do? I need you to be ready. I need you to be ready to have something good to say, right? Because most people will just keep deferring to what you currently do. Like, okay, oh, I'm a doctor. Who are you? Oh, I'm an attorney. Who are you? Oh, I work for the school system. But what you do is, you want to start thinking of ways to explain what you do with this business. So what do you do? I help people to make money online. I help people to make money through starting their own CBD online franchise. What do you do? I teach people how to build a seven-figure business online. What do you do? I want you to write down when someone asks you what you do, I want you to write down some things so that you are ready for when they ask you, what do you do? The next thing I want you to think about is, why do you do it? This is a part of your story. So a lot of times when I'm getting in front of people, I'll say, hi, my name's Tishina Anderson. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of four. I've been in this industry now for 14 years. I've built a seven-figure business, and I love helping people to be able to quit their job and go full time. Why do you do it? Because of what is the reason behind it? What's the vision that you have? Why are you doing this business? I need you to write down some things, and I'm just going to give you 1 minute to write them down. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? All right. So next thing I want you to start thinking about is this. This has happened through my career, I don't know how many times, because my story is so important. Knowing who I am and being ready in that moment when someone asks me is really important. But there are two different times you need to be ready to tell your story. Two different times in this business. There's two. The first one is you have to create a few seconds and an introduction. Meaning, like you're going to run into someone in the elevator and they're going to say, hi, my name is Tish. And then I'm going to say, I'm a teacher. Who are you? So in a few seconds, you have to do an introduction of who you are. That's one time. The second time is in a minute before you start selling your business. So you're going to always have to tell your story right before you do a presentation. So I'm going to go over in a few seconds sometimes when you're online and I want you to share your business online. But I want you to think about it. If you have to do a presentation online, I'm going to really need you to have your story already ready, because that's the part that no one can kind of do for you. You have to know your story in advance. And you have to make sure that your story is so consistent. Like one of the things that how many of you, and not to get too spiritual, but he's someone a lot of people know, which is Joel Osteen. How many of you know who Joel Osteen is? Yeah. Does everybody know who he is? Yeah. Does anybody know, does anybody know if he started off as a preacher or was his dad a preacher? And then does anybody know that about his story? Did he start off being like starting his church off, or did his family start his church off? Okay, is his dad alive or dead? Yeah. Okay. Does he ever tell you the story of like how he got the Compact Center? Yeah. Okay. Why do we know his story so much? Every single Sunday. Does he not tell his story every single Sunday? Yeah? Yeah, every single Sunday. He tells the exact same story. I don't know how many times I know his kids. I know Victoria. I know his children. I know his his mom had cancer. She overcame that. I know so much about his story. Why? Because he keeps telling it over and over and over again. I have told the same story about myself for the last 14 years. People know I used to be in corporate America. People know I used to be a school teacher. People know I used to be divorced. Everybody knows this. It's not a secret. It's a part of my story, right? So what I've done is I've sat down, I've wrote down all of these different parts of my story, and I figured out what are the parts that I want to share with people. I've taken time to craft a story, and then I've sat down and I've practiced. If I'm in an elevator and I go to a networking event and someone says, hi, my name is Sean. I work for the computer engineering program over here. Hi, who are you? I got to be ready just like that to say who I am and what it is that I do, because that's all people want to know is who you are and what it is that you do and how. Here's the most important thing is what in the world does that have to do with them? That's what they want to know. The minute you say who you are, they're just figuring out, can you help them? Can you be a resource in their life or not? Right? So in a few minutes, you need to know, you have to have your story ready for a quick introduction. And then you have to also create your story for a long, like 1 minute. When I say long, I mean like at least 1 minute of telling your story. So what I would like to do is just take a moment. How many of you feel like you have your story down pat? Amen. Does anybody have their story down pat? Yeah? Okay. Do me a favor. Raise your hand if you feel like you have your story down pat. One person. All right, Nicole, come on up to the front of the room for me really quick. Everyone say hello to Nicole. Hi, Nicole. What's up, sis? Can you tell everyone, give them your story that you give right before you start a presentation?
How we doing, everybody? Good. So listen, I'm 40 years old. Irish, German, French, Italian, high school education. I come from New York, live in Vegas. I'm told I have an accent, but I don't hear it. So 19 years on my job, and what I learned real quick is 19 years when I decided to leave, it wasn't until the gentleman who passed away that hired me that I was so low on a totem pole that I had to clean out the office of his desk. And that's when I found out that all the paperwork I submitted to Rank Advance was in the bottom of his drawer. Because when you come into an organization, you're a threat. they're never going to teach you everything you need to know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want me to keep going or no?
If that's your story, that's good. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, you can have a seat, Nicole. One of the things I love about what just happened, was Nicole ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do you think she was ready?
Done it 1,000 times.
She told that story over and over and over again. Your story has to be so familiar with you that you can kind of give it to somebody at the drop of a dime. Now, here's some things I want you to do to improve your story. I want you to ask yourself this one question. And I want you to write this down. Does your story have the me too factor? I'm gonna say it again. Does your story have the me too factor? All that means is when someone is sitting there and especially if you're telling your story in a presentation, that person needs to be thinking, me too. You know what? I want to quit my job. Me too. I want to be home with my kids. Me too. I want to pay off my bills. Me too. It's called the me too factor. Your story needs to have people saying, you know what? Me too. That's what I want to. That's a good reason for me to do it. Same reason you're doing it is a good reason for me to do it. So how do you get to a better story? The best thing you could do is to change your story around and making sure that it has the me too factor. The next thing I want you to write down is when you're doing a few seconds of your story, I think what you need to always be thinking is, this is a person that I want to be in business with me. So how can I craft my story? Someone asked me, who am I? In a few seconds, my story of who I am, I need to craft that story in a way that makes them want to be in business with me. How can I say it in that way? So when you leave the boot camp and you go home and you start working on yourself, I want you to go home and I want you to start asking yourself, like, how can I make my story better? How can I make my introduction story better? And how can I make my 1-minute story even better? And those two things will help you to craft a better story. Make sense?
Yes.
They say if it makes sense, it makes dollars. Okay. All right. For the sake of time, I'm not going to stop. We're not going to stop and craft the stories, but I want to give you some more information. If you guys want more information, say more information.
More information.
All right. So let's do this. I want you to share your business with the masses. So if you're going to build an online presence and an online business, you really do have to share your business with the masses. So where do you share your business? Here's some things. If you do not have an Instagram account, I want you to get an Instagram account. You cannot just be on Facebook, okay? The times are moving and you have to move with them. You can't be like, you know how the older we get, the more we get stuck in our ways and we don't move with time, with like the way times go. If I talk to my grandfather, who is about 80, I think he's like 86 years old, he doesn't know how to work a computer. He's completely off of, having a Apple product, Nicole. He's completely off of having like a Mac computer or anything, anything like that. Anything like that. He's completely, he doesn't know how to do it. I do not want anyone in this room to let age start defining like what you're going to get comfortable with. You have to be on most of the social media platforms in order to run an online business. Facebook is ancient, okay? Most people are on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram account, you need to get an Instagram account. Raise your hand if you have Instagram. Okay. Next thing you gotta have, I'm sorry guys, but this is just as important as Instagram, is YouTube. How many of you have a YouTube account? Okay. You need to get a YouTube account. Not only do you need to get a YouTube account, you need to post content on YouTube. So I want you to, this weekend, when you get home, what do you need to do to grow your business online, grow your social media presence? You have to have these platforms. Facebook is cool, but you need Instagram and you need YouTube. How many of you have kids? Anybody have kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what your kids watch all day. Tell me which social media platform they on and they could just watch all day long. Which one? What is that? TikTok? So do you need a TikTok account?
Yes.
Okay, what else can they watch? TikTok, they can watch all day long. What else can they watch? YouTube. Okay, do you know YouTube is about to be the next TV? Your kids don't even need TV. They can watch YouTube all day long. Do you know they're saying the next generations to come, they're thinking of how they're even going to sell televisions, because these kids don't even need TVs. They just need monitors to be able to watch their social media platforms. So you cannot get stuck into the dinosaur ages of Facebook. You have to move into 2020, and you have to make sure that you are platforms. So if you do not have these accounts, I want you to get an account, and I want you to commit to, here's the next thing. When do you share on your business? At least once a day. It's really hard to do, but there's things that you can do you say, I'm just too busy. I'm trying to get partners. I'm trying to get customers. I'm trying to drink water. I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to I'm trying to do so many things at a time. But social media is a part of marketing your business. And every business has different parts. Business has sales, it has marketing, it has money management of the business. There's different elements to the business. You can't take one part out and have a successful business. Marketing is an important part of business. So I need you to make sure that you are posting on these platforms at least once a day. Now, what do you post? How do you post? So how do you share your business? You share it through pictures and video. What can you share daily? So it's always good to put in a few things that make you relatable, things, that do relate to your family or your kids. But if I look at your social media and you have nothing on there that has anything to do with your business, if you have no pictures, no video, nothing relating to your business, then you're not using social media the way it really should be used. We're using it the way what most people think it was created for, which is just to talk about our lives and to talk about, but that doesn't get you more business. In order for you to get more business, you have to post things. So let's talk about some things that you can post once a day. So let's just say you want to do 5 posts a day, and 4 of those 5 posts are all about your kids and all about what you're eating and all about you working out. Okay, well, that's nice. But at least give 1 post a day to your business. So let's talk about what those things could be. One could be a testimony. Testimonies can come in pictures and it can come in videos. Next time somebody tries something that they love, that's a product of yours, ask them to give you, record them tell them to record the testimony and send it over to you. Maybe the testimony is through a picture. I have a testimony that I posted from a guy who got his bankruptcy removed from using our Chroma credit service. I screenshotted it and I posted it as a picture, but it was a testimony. It was a testimony to how my business is working for people. Think about how confident you become when you go to a business page and you see other people that say, oh, I liked it, 5 stars, great, I love this product, I love this company. Testimonies give us confidence in the company that we're going to purchase from. So when you start thinking of your business like that, you got to make sure that you have a lot of great testimonies from your business. You can post pictures or information about the product. I've gone onto YouTube and I searched CBD. Do you know how many people from different network marketing companies are on YouTube? And when they're on YouTube, they'll post videos. Like I've seen a lady create the bath bombs, CBD bath bombs. I've seen her create it through a YouTube video. When I just searched CBD products, it came up and it was her making bath bombs from her CBD oil that she got from her company. And what do you think was in the link, in the description? How to buy her products. So we all have to be on social media promoting our business. The more times people search stuff and they see our company, they see people putting up, testimonies and informational products, talking about their product, the more they see that, the more confidence they're going to gain in our Oxygen brand. So those are just some fun things that you could do. You could do some fun things about, like you could post a video on YouTube on, let's see how long it takes for the CBD to kick in, right? And you and your spouse take the CBD, and you're like, oh, I got a pain. I took this nano tincture. This is a new product that we have. And you just put the camera up and you record yourself taking it and say, my pain is here. Where's your pain? And then you do like this, and like, they don't have to all be serious. They can be fun. It can be, oh my gosh, like, oh, we timed it. Oh my gosh, it took 10 seconds for the feeling to be gone. Oh my gosh, you guys, you gotta get this product, right? That's a cool video to post on YouTube. Somebody's gonna be searching CBD, because YouTube is the second biggest search engine from Google. So when people wanna know how to do things, or when they wanna learn about stuff, when I wanted to learn how to make CBD gummies, we had a diamond pool party at our home for a boot camp here in Maryland last July. And I went onto YouTube and I said, how to make CBD gummies. What do you think I found? I found somebody making gummies with CBD, and they had a link to their product right in the description. But I learned how to make CBD gummies. It's a huge search engine. So when people want to know how to do things, this is where they go. Now, you can post things like how to use the product. You want to make sure you have good quality pictures and video. Become creative and ask people to share. If you want to, like for instance, if you go to my YouTube page is my name, Tishina Anderson. My husband has a YouTube page, Kurt Anderson. And then we have like a YouTube page is Kurt and Tish. It's just fun stuff, like fun videos, informational videos. But you can find us on YouTube. If you go to my Instagram, it's my name, Tishina Anderson. If you go to my website page, it's www.tishinaanderson.com. Try to make whatever platforms that you're creating, try to make them the same, so that when people want to find you, it's the same consistency across the board. Someone knows if they see me on Instagram and my Instagram is Tishina Anderson, then when they go to YouTube, my YouTube is Tishina Anderson. That way they can find me in any one of those places. I always share, like on my website, which is tishinaanderson.com, I have something where I have tools of the trade. I share all the cameras that we use to take really good pictures. I share all the mics. This is one of the mics that I use when I'm doing any kind of training on my computer. But I share all of the tools. I share all of the companies that I use that are really good for me in business. So you check those things out so that you can have good pictures and good video. You don't want to create pictures or video and the quality is bad. You want to have good quality. So you want to make sure you have a good camera. You want to make sure you're using some great tools to really help your business. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Another thing that you can do is you can read blogs about how to be better on social media. That's one of the things I do to learn how to, gain a following. The things that I'm telling you aren't things that, I know. These are things that I've read from other people who have huge social media presence. So I'll read blogs to say, okay, what are the top things to do to have a good social media following? Well, one of the things they'll tell you is you have to have good lighting in your pictures and in your video. People don't want to look at dark pictures. They want to look at well-lit pictures. Another thing that they'll tell you is that they'll tell you, I don't know if I have it in here right now, but they'll tell you that people want to see pictures that aren't just like you holding your phone, selfie pictures. So there's this thing, and I have a link to it at my website, but there's this thing that Kurt and I have where we can, we take this little piece and I put it on the stand. I put my phone on it and it looks like I have a professional photographer, because all I do is I put it on the stand, and because I have an iPhone, I go in to take a picture, which I put that iPhone plug in there, didn't I?
I see you.
All right, so, okay, on iPhones, like, Like if I want to take a picture, I just go on here and I just, it was this button right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Actually, I should be right here. I go here and I click this. It's a timer. I put it on 10 seconds. And because I have a stand, I'll set my camera up and I'll use lighting, which is what I have right behind me now. So I'll put lighting, and if you can see, my picture is really clear. So it helps me to take better pictures. I put the stand, I put on 10 seconds, and then I'll go to take the photo, and then I'll move back. And when I move back, I get to take a full body picture. So it looks like I have this photographer that I'm paying for, and I don't. I'm just using tools. Remember I said tools are really important. So lighting is important. Cameras, the right camera equipment is important so that you can build a better social media presence. Next thing is call to action. Now, call to action is really important. Call to action just basically means that you have to ask for the sale. So if you're online, you're building a social media presence, you can't be afraid to ask someone to buy or to sign up, right? This is the thing that I know for myself that I've become really good at. I have no problem with saying, so are you ready to sign up? Do you have the money? All right, so today's the day, right? You know, that's the call to action. The last thing that you always have to do if you're out there and you're talking about your product and you're telling your story and you're sharing the business is you got to ask somebody to sign up. You know how many meetings I've done and I go to someone's house and we finish the presentation. They say, all right, let's go. I got food in there for everybody. I'm like, wait a minute. We came here to sign these people up. What are you doing? Like, you know, they forget or they get intimidated by they feel like it's too salesy. But you're in business. Businesses are asking for business. So don't be afraid to ask for the sale. I always try to get people's information if I do the business online or if I'm using a service like Zoom, which is what I'm using now. Zoom is like a free service that I use to share presentations with people. If someone wants to get started, I get their information. I'll say, okay, what's your name? What's your address? What's your social security number? What's your credit card information? Or you can send a link for them to sign up. But for me, I think the best thing is to always get someone's information, whether they want to sign into the business or become a customer. I want to get their information. I want to put it into the system myself. I always know that people want to be told what to do. So you can't say, oh, you know, okay, you can say, what do you think? But the best thing to always say is, all right, let's go. I know you guys, you know, I know you want to do it. I know you're ready to get started. Let's make this thing happen. The best thing is to tell them what you want, not to ask them what do they want. Let them know what's going to happen. So when someone takes a look at the presentation, a part of my call to action is to say, okay, I know you're ready to get started. Let me tell you what's going to happen next. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put your information in the system. Then within the first 24 to 48 hours, we're going to go over training with you where I'm going to go over your website, your virtual office. I'm going to set your first meeting up, and we're going to make sure that you're profitable within your first 30 days. So I like to tell people what's going to happen within my call to action so that they understand I'm not just asking for money, but here's the process. This is what I already have set up for them. And then you always want to make sure, the last thing is that you're sharing your vision. So, you know, the goal is for us to accomplish, for you to make sure that you're getting a return on your investment in your first 30 days. My goal is to make sure that you're a success. I would love for you to be one of my top leaders. You know, that's going to be a great commitment, but you know, the goal is if you're looking to make full-time income, I'm definitely willing to help you to do that. All right. So that is the end of my presentation. You guys all right? Yeah. A lot of information, wasn't it?
Yeah, good information.
All right. Okay, Jay. So I think I went a little bit past my time. So I want to make sure I'm respectful because I know there's other trainers there. If we don't have time for a Q&A, I 100% completely understand, but I wanted to make sure you guys had enough information to really leave this event and really run forward, especially when it comes to all of us, you know, changing how we build our business online.
we have time, Tishina. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a Q&A. Don't be shy. So if you guys have a specific question for Tishina, this is the best time. Okay, the best time to ask right now. Okay, great. Jasmine. Can you hear us, Tishina?
I don't know. Say something, Jennifer.
Oh, Jasmine. Here.
Jasmine.
I just had a real quick question. You shared something in regards to following like MLM news. I got the businessfromhome.com website. What other suggestions can you that'll help us follow or keep up on that news?
Like, to me, those are good for like just seeing what's going on in our industry. It's not completely accurate. Like, I have that app as well, and like if you look at our company, I'm our #1 income earner. It doesn't even have me listed. It doesn't even have like my income on there. And the person's income it does have on there is not, it's not accurate. So some of the stuff that's on there, like that website, they only update what people tell, you know, what they get from, like you have to pay for a subscription, and then you have to show them your like your virtual office and stuff like that. So if you don't have a subscription with them, the information is not going to be accurate. But what that site does help to do is to stay up with like things that are going on with like the MLM industry. So I like to use sites like that for those reasons. So you got like the Direct Selling Association is another. They have like an Instagram page. They have a website that you could go to and find out about a lot of the laws in our industry of things that you can do and you can't do. When I wanted to know, I hear people talk about that we're not supposed to make income claims. But when I wanted to know directly, like what does that mean if I tell people how much I made, or how can that affect me? I gave them a call. They have an office in Washington, D.C. So they know a lot about our industry and what are the real rules and what is just what people make up. So the Direct Selling Association is another source that you can use to find out information about our industry.
All right. Any other questions? Maybe something more specific that maybe she can help you with in answering. You have a question, Ian?
Might have one.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Hi, Tishina. My name is Ian. I have just
Hi,
one
Ian.
question. Yes. So I have this one client one time when I was telling him about their CBD and what we're doing. And he said that he researched on the internet while he was in front of me. And he searched the top CBD companies, and our CBD line wasn't in there. So my answer to him is that we're just going underneath the radar, but we're really doing a lot. From our testimonies, I mean, it shows a whole lot that our product is really effective. And from our holistic products, and since it's a CBD platform that I really want to push right now. So basically, my question is, what do I tell the client if they say that they researched and their CBD line wasn't on the top 5? And that's like, what would you tell somebody like that?
I would tell him, first of all, you can't, who has that information? Like, people post blogs all day long and the reason people post blogs is because like a blog is how sometimes people are getting paid. So sometimes if they're getting paid through certain companies, they post things based on who's going to pay them. So a blog is not, depending on who wrote like nobody's writing a blog to talk about, no credible source is writing a blog to talk about who's the best CBD companies out there right now. They're just talking about what they know and who they know. So I'm 100% sure whatever he found, what you do in such situations like that, because people always think they're so smart when they start Googling stuff. Tell them, let me see. That's the first thing you do is say, let me see who, and let me see who wrote it. It could be some just some nobody that's just posting stuff on the internet, and he's just looking at what he sees, right? Or it could be based on, okay, this company is a company that he's showing that is in like Walmart and Walgreens and companies like that. We're not a company on that level where we're in those types of stores. So it just depends on where he actually pulled the information from. I think that's the first thing to find. There's a lot of like if you Google stuff right now, you'll find when we first came out with CBD, it was almost like if you Google CBD, it was nothing out there. Now when you Google CBD, you can find stuff, and I'll start looking at it, and it's not even from a credible source. So you have to be really careful. We all have to be careful when you're looking for things online, because in this day and time, anybody can post something, and you just have to look at who actually wrote the article.
Can I answer the question?
Awesome. All right, good. Kelly.
Tishina.
The question is, sometimes even we're like so long in the company and still we have this problem of calling people. Like it's so hard to pick up a phone and call. So what would you recommend, or what would you suggest that, sometimes we want to call, but, we're holding back because we are afraid, so what are you gonna, suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I deal with that same fear. I think the first thing for everyone to know in the room is that it's real, and everyone deals with it. You're not the only one. Even a diamond senior vice president deals with it. Trust me, I don't feel like keep hearing people say no to me either every 5 seconds. Nobody wants to hear that crap, right? So yes, whenever you deal with rejection, like you avoid it. Who wouldn't avoid rejection? Like it's human nature. It's a part of our physical bodies. No one is going to walk into, like a dark room and not know what's going to happen. Like you're afraid of it, right? It's natural. So I think the first thing you have to do is you have to understand that it's natural and we all deal with it. The second thing you have to do is that you have to understand that this is where the great people are made. This is where they're made. They're not made because they're great. They're made because they do what everybody else doesn't want to do. I am here today not because I am any different from you. I'm here today because what I do is I do what most people don't want to do. I get up and I push my business every day when I do not want to. I'm here today and I'm in this position because I am doing what people don't want to do. So when you don't want to do something, what you have to do is you have to keep just pushing yourself and making yourself do it. And you have to say, well, if I could get good at the thing that I hate the most, then I'm going to be a bad mama jamma. You know what? That's what you got to say to yourself, because that's how it's done. Like, do you understand like how hard it was for me to learn investing in finance? Nobody likes it. I didn't even like it, but I would keep reading a book. And even though I didn't understand it, I would keep reading it over and over again until I got it. I would keep listening to it over and over again until I got it. Then I would listen to something else over and over again until I got it. Why? Because I knew that this is, when it's something that nobody else wants to do, that is the exact direction that you should walk down. That is the exact thing that you should do more than any other person. When I knew it was so hard for me to get out and talk to people, whether pick up the phone or talk to people when I'm out, I still cannot do it. I still have a hard time when I go out into the public, talking to people, saying who I am, what I do, getting their information. It still is a challenge, but I make myself do it because I know this is what nobody else wants to do. So if I'm going to keep my business relevant and I'm going to always have new business partners, I'm 14 years in the game. And if you ask me to recruit 5 to 10 people this month, guess what? I can do it. How? Because I am going to push not because I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert who does not like talking to people. This whole coronavirus thing is right up my alley. I get to be home. I don't get to talk to nobody. I don't have to go out, honey. I love it. Okay? I absolutely love it. But the reason I am one of the best is because I push myself to do things that most people don't want to do. So what you have to realize is, yes, it's normal. Yes, it is a hard thing, but you just push yourself. And the more you do anything, you will get good at it. I don't care how bad you are. You keep doing anything over and over again, and you will become a professional.
Great answer.
All right, I have a question for, maybe you can share to the team here. When did you have your biggest breakthrough in your business and where your business became average to extraordinary?
I remember the exact moment. I was just about to quit. So I was about to quit. I was a national director in the business. I was making on average $5,000 to $7,000 a month, and I felt like I was working like nobody's business. I felt like I should have been making $40,000 a month the way I was working my business, but I was making 5 to 7. And then I broke a new leader in my business, and I didn't understand, like, when you break leaders, then I had lost some of my income. So I went from 7, then I went down to like $4,000 because I had broke a leader, and I didn't understand how to keep business going in multiple legs. So I'm a national director, my income goes down, I was making good, it went bad. And I was having this conversation with myself. I remember being in my bedroom. I lived in Maryland, and I was walking around in my bedroom, and I was like, you should just do something else. Like, this is just too much work for this little bit of money. Like, now I'm back to almost what I was making on my job. And this is not what they preach in front of the room. This is not 20, 30, 40,000 a month. Like, this is none of that. And I remember what it felt like, because it felt like I had like the person who looked like me in white and the person who looked like me in red. You know how that looks, right? And I remember this one person's like, girl, you can do this. If you just keep going, you're going to get the money. If you don't like it when you make the money, then you can quit then. I remember that's exactly what I was saying. And then there was this other part of me that was like, this is just too much work. Like, people get on my nerves. I'm tired of dealing with people. I'm tired of them not doing what they're supposed to do. They get on my nerves. They don't show up. They tell me they're going to do something. They do not do it. They tell me they're going to buy. They don't buy. Forget this, man. It got to be something easier than this. And I'm having this conversation with myself. And I was like, I should just quit, and I was like, what can I do? Maybe I can get into real estate. This is exactly, now this was maybe I was about 16 months into the business, because I hit senior vice president at 17 months. So this is about 16 months of business. I was a national director. And about 30 days later, one of the people on my team hit senior vice president, and within this 30-day time frame. And instead of me quitting, it was a fear of loss, because somebody underneath of me hit the position before I hit it. They hit SVP underneath of me. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not quitting right now. Oh, no, I'm going to stay in. You ain't going to outperform me on my own team. So, okay, no, let me at least hit senior vice president. So I remember, like, within that period of time, I worked really hard and I hit senior vice president. And then my aunt now asked me to come down and do a second meeting for her. All of this in this 30-day time frame. Now, let me tell you this. When my aunt first asked me to do this meeting, my aunt is maybe, she's maybe like in her 70s or whatever, her and her husband, my aunt, my uncle. They asked me to come do this meeting for them. I drive 4 hours, I go do this meeting, and they had like 2 people at the event. Now, this is my family. I wanted to choke them, but I couldn't because they're older than me. And I was just like, okay, well, now they want me to do another event, but now I'm a senior vice president, right? So I just hit senior vice president, but I have a good spirit about me. Okay. I'm a really nice person. So I said, okay, all right, I'll come do your event. She said, well, I want you to do it for my pastor this time. And I was like, okay, now I'm thinking to myself, like, why didn't you have me do it for him the first time when I came down here? But whatever. Okay, I'll come down. So I go down, and she says a day before the event, okay, we changed it. You're going to do the meeting with the pastor, but we have our finance meetings that night. So you're going to do a meeting with him, and then you're going to do a meeting with the finance people. And that, how like churches have, I forgot what it's called, groups in a church, right? Like the finance group, meaning they all get together and they talk about money. It's not the people that manage the finances of the church. It's a group of people. It's like one of the groups in the church that talk about money and stuff like that. So I said, okay, all right, that sounds good, right? I go down, I do the meeting for the pastor in his room, right? So I was ready. I did the meeting for him, and he was like, okay, all right, this sounds good. He signs up. I was like, okay, all right, I was feeling good. And then we go do the presentation. It was like 150 freaking people in the room. Okay, 150 people. I was like, okay, all right, I got a strategy. Now, mind you, I wake up thinking about strategies, okay? I'm always thinking about a strategy. So I got strategies on my mind 24/7 because I'm always thinking about them. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. At the end of the presentation, what we're going to do is we're going to tell people, we're going to give out the applications like I always do. So I got my story, I got the presentation, but I got the call to action. So at the end, what we're going to do is I'm going to get you to come back up, and we're going to tell people as they fill out the application with credit card and everything on it, we're going to put a number on their application, and they're going to come underneath of you depending on the number that's on their application. And the higher you up on the number, the more people you're going to have underneath of you. Okay. I got so many applications that day. Okay. 60 freaking applications in one day. One day. And this pastor was like, I remember, because business comes in, and then the following month we get our checks or whatever for everything, for our open line bonuses and things of that nature. So that next month, my check was 20 grand. 20 grand. Now, mind you, 30 days prior to that, I was just ready to quit. Now, I remember being in my house. I was like doing cartwheels. This is when I was lighter in size, but I was doing cartwheels. I was so freaking happy, like, that I made a $20,000 check in a week. And I remember talking to myself and saying, do you want to quit now? I was like, no, I do not. I do not want to quit now. You never want to quit when you're winning. You only want to quit when you're losing. That's the only time you ever want to quit, right? So that was like the defining moment in my business, because from that moment moving forward, I went from my checks every time we had a 15 check, it never went below 20 grand. And I can comfortably say, since I have been in this business, since that moment, which was almost 13 years ago, it still has never went below 20 grand a month on a 15 check. So then it went from like 20 grand to 40 grand to 60 grand. And it just kept growing because new leaders kept coming into the business. But that was the start of my business changing. And it was 30 days before I really wanted to quit.
Okay, Bobby?
Tish, Crystal took my question.
Okay, maybe I'm taking advantage of it. So if you guys have questions, let me know. So what was your everyday schedule because you have kids when you are building the business? So in the beginning, what was your everyday schedule, and was it hard to leave when you were doing a PDR, because your kids were young during that time? So can you share us that story?
You said, I didn't hear what you said. Was it hard to something?
Was it hard to leave the home when you were doing PDRs, when your kids were young?
Yeah, it was. And I still have like nightmares about some of those days. Times are different now, but there was this one time I still remember my son, who is, he just turned 18, and, he just came in my office today, was trying to give me some tips on YouTube. He said, "Ma, I seen your YouTube videos. This is some stuff you need to do." But when I was starting, he was 4. He was 4 years old. And I remember there was this time, because you have to do meetings in the evening. And I had such a hard time trying to like find somebody to watch him. I was having a difficult time in my marriage. My husband at the time, he didn't want to watch my son. he would come home late on purpose, or because he was working and he didn't consider my business was running in the evening. So a lot of times I would have to find somebody to watch my son for me. I remember I used to have to drive to Baltimore from where I lived, which was about a good 30-minute drive. And then I would have to drive the opposite way, probably another 45 to 50 minutes, then to drive 50 minutes back to go pick him after a meeting from my mom, and then to come 30 minutes home. So there was this one time where I had to leave to go to a meeting. And I remember him, we lived in a townhome at the time. And I remember him being like on the glass of his window in his room. And he was like, "Mommy, don't leave me." And he was like crying with his little lip poked out. And he had his like little fingers on the glass window. And I remember I sat in my car and I like cried before I went off to my meeting. And I still went and I just did it crying. I did it, I just wiped my tears away before I went into the meeting. But those were definitely difficult times. I think that, what will typically happen is that we'll have reasons that we want to do the business, like for our children, but that'll also be the exact reason that stops us from doing the business, because you want to spend time with them, and you want to, and you don't want to leave them. So it is hard to kind of like find that balance between being a great mom and being in business for yourself at the same time. How I created my schedule back then is I tried to set up like a schedule, just like I kind of set it up now. Like I look at my month and I say, okay, back then I would run a weekly meeting. So I would say, okay, if I look at my schedule, what's some things that I need to plan on this schedule? I need to have a major event for my team in this area, and I need to bring in outside guests at least once a month. Let me put that in my calendar. When is that going to be? I need to have a team event at least once a month. Let me put that in my calendar now. When is that going to be, so that I can tell my team in advance? Okay, I'm going to do that the first Wednesday or the first Friday of every month. Okay, let me put that in my calendar. I'm going to do a team conference calls. Like we do our team conference calls on Sundays and Mondays. So I know every Sunday at a certain time, here's our schedule. I know every Monday, I know which Mondays I have to train. I already know what I'm training on. It's like already in a schedule. And then what I do is I know that, okay, here are my goals for the month. So if I have a goal for the month of, like, say for instance, if I want to recruit 5 new business partners for the month. So, it's not putting everything on my team and what they're supposed to do. It's also putting back a responsibility on myself. So what I know I have to do is I have to create a list of at least 10 people every single week that I'm going to expose this business to. So I start that list on Sunday. And on Sunday, I start making phone calls to set up my week. So so how do I get the people for the list? Because I've been doing this, and once you keep doing this over and over again, you sometimes feel like you run out of people, but you really never do. So I just either go to like any kind of social media platform. I look at my phone. If somebody has looked at this business, like say for instance, I have a friend on social media that I see all the time, and they did the business with me years ago when we sold video phones. Okay, well, we don't sell video phones anymore. We sell CBD. CBD is a whole new company. It's a whole new product. So all I have to do is go back to that same person that did the business with me before. I put them on their list and I show them a whole new business. So that's how I can keep adding to my list, because you can recycle people, or if you told somebody before and they never did it, you can tell them again. I create when I go out, I always meet people. So I put it in a book, and I can always go to that book if I'm looking for new people to put onto that list. My goal is to have at least 10 appointments for the week. Those appointments, I usually try to make as many of them as possible in person, because I always feel like I do the business better when it's a one-on-one situation. I know how to listen really well. I know how to ask the right questions, because the presentation is more about me listening, and it's more about the right questions than it is about the information itself. If I ask you the right questions, then I have a way to present the business in a way that really answers the question that I asked you. So I create my schedule. I create the 10 people on the list. I speak to most of them in person. The other percentage of the people I have to do online. I have to do it through a Zoom platform where I do the presentation. And it's just like this. Sometimes I do the presentation without them seeing me. So sometimes I'll just call them on the phone and say, hey, I want to tell you about my business. We got CBD going on really right now. And these are the products that we have. I'll say, this is how much it costs to get in. You need to get in now. And then the call to action is you need to do it now. Look, we get ready to make a lot of money with this. This is big and you need to be involved. Okay, what do I have to do to get involved? Well, it's about $550. You have it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, all right. Well, give me your information. I'm gonna write it down now. And then I'll sign somebody up. Phone presentation, and it doesn't necessarily have to even be a Zoom presentation. So if I talk to 10 people a week, whether it's through a phone, through Zoom, or in person, I'm going to get 5 new partners that month. So that's my goal. So I have goals, like I have a schedule around how I interact with my team through conference calls. I usually in the morning, after I go for a run, after I've done my meditation, after I've had me time, I'll start calling my leaders. All right, what we doing for the day? How's it going? Did you do this? Do you got that going on? Whatever we have going on, I'm having those conversations. And then I start making phone calls to talk to people anywhere between like usually 12 and 5 p.m. Sometimes if people don't answer during that time, I'll start making phone calls after dinner around 7:30. So that's usually how my schedule winds up. I try to put all my meetings on 2 days of the week. So if I start making my phone calls for Sunday, I try to do all my meetings on like Wednesday or Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday are the days I try to do it, so I could get it out of the way. I don't want to do the business every single day of the week. So I want to feel like the business is supposed to feel. I want it to feel free. So I try to do all my exposures on 2 days of the week. I do my conference calls on Monday, and it gives me a lot of free time to do other things that I want to do. So that's how I create my schedule. Hopefully I answered that question.
Great. All right, so, okay, got one more question.
Hi, Tishina. So I do have clients so I just want to know how you deal with clients who say, okay, I'm not comfortable with CBD because it's not regulated by FDA. Some say because I'm active in the military and we don't have, we cannot be involved in CBD with THC, even though I tell them it's 100% THC free. But how do you deal with those kind of people when they're like, because I always say you should consult with your doctor before you use it if you want to feel more comfortable, and then the doctors would say, I don't recommend it because it's not FDA regulated. How do you respond to those kind of clients?
I really don't. Like, what I know is that, like, you can't, when you have a business, every business has products and services, and it does not mean they are for every person, right? And I have to be comfortable with that. So if I am not eating meat, I'm not going to go to a burger spot, right? Well, guess what? It's a whole bunch of people that do eat meat and do eat beef. So companies like Five Guys, have you ever ate at Five Guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't eat beef. I don't eat beef burgers. But guess what? They're still in business and they're still making a whole bunch of money. So you have to realize that when you have a product or service, whether we have CBD or we have coffee, some people don't drink coffee. My mom told me she does not drink coffee. Ever since she was a kid, she drank a whole bunch of coffee. Now she shakes, like her hands shake a little bit. So she just refuses to drink coffee. But it's not for me to convince her to be a coffee drinker. We have a whole bunch of other stuff that you can buy. Okay, you don't want CBD? Do you watch TV? Okay, great. I got a TV service that you can buy. You don't watch TV? Okay, do you need your credit fixed? Good, because I got some credit credit program that you can use. Like, don't be offended. It's just not for them. So I'm not here to like change your mind about anything. I'm just here to educate you. And if you don't want one thing, good, because I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I can offer you that you can get from me.
Thank you. All right, so going once, going twice. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, one more. Okay.
Hi, Tishina.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Hmm.
I heard you said you're a family person. What time you get up and what you do the first hour in the morning?
I didn't hear her. You got to repeat that. 'Cause
She said that since you are an early person, what do you do the first hour when you get up in the morning?
Oh, good question. So I make my coffee, and I have this area in my home. I usually get up before my kids get up. So I get up, I brush my teeth, and all of those kind of hygiene things. And then I go make coffee, and then I sit down. I actually read the Bible, and I do meditation just to start my day off. And really, my meditation is just me setting my intentions. I'm just trying to tell my higher power that I am thankful for my life. I'm thankful for all my blessings. And no matter what happens today, I'm going to be grateful for my day. And I just ask for clarity. I ask for direction. And I just ask to really have a great day and for him to send me great people that I'm supposed to be connected with. So I read the Bible, I meditate before I do anything, and then I usually get my kids dressed for school, and then I usually work out after they get off to school.
Awesome. All right, you guys, give Tishina a round of applause one more time. Tishina, thank you so much for pouring your information and your love to us here in the West Coast. And we wanted to prove to everyone here that you are real.
Everyone say hi.
Hi.
All right, that's going on my social media page.
Okay, we want to, yeah.
Can I say, Tishina, just 1 second? Tishina, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to let everybody know that I went and attended the boot camp was it in your town? Was it in Virginia or Maryland? And then
the last one was in Maryland.
last July. And then after
July was in Virginia.
Virginia. And then after that, we were treated by Tishina and her husband, Kurt, to be in their mansion, to be in their place. So I'm fortunate enough to be with those group of reps that went to Tishina's place. Thank you very much for the treat. And I saw the fruit of 5 days in her life, in Tishina's life. And I had brought a couple of business partners with me at that time. And Tishina, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And I know it's not the last one, but just the beginning. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, one more time. Diamond C Vice President Tishina. Thank you.
I see your hands, Jay.
Happy Saturday.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there and wash your hands.
You guys learn a lot? Yeah. Okay. Oh, go ahead. Okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute break.